Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. In this one, we're going to be tackling one of the most controversial subjects in the equine industry. Should you or should you not give your horse treats when you're training them? We're going to jump into it and we're going to explore all the different aspects of it. Recently, we went to the Midwest Horse Fair to poll the people that are in the horse industry there and see what they thought about giving your horse treats or not. All right, so I'm here with the one and only Dan James of Double Dan Horsemanship. Should you or should you not use treats when training your horse?
Oh, that is like one of the most controversial ones.
I don't.
Do you give your horse treats for training?
When it's really a big deal and she does really well, yes, she does get a treat only.
Should you or should you not give your horse treats when you're working with them?
Oh, well, I am the treat.
I give her a treat in the barn, but when I'm working with her, I do not give her treats. I scratch her. I give her scratches.
My attention is the treat enough, and then anything more is just ice cream on the cake if they do a really good job, or they're just good boys.
I'm going to say yes.
So sometimes there's some really serious physical reasons why giving your horse treats can actually be beneficial. One of them is teaching your horse things like carrot stretches. So Emily of Reaching Strides Equine Rehab is going to show us how to do that using carrots.
My name's Emily and I'm a certified equine rehab practitioner, which basically means I'm a physical therapist for horses. And there are a lot of times when I have to use treats in order to get the horse to do a baited exercise that's intentional and important regarding their rehabilitation. So for example, I have to use a treat in order to get a horse to do something like a carrot stretch in order to rehab their back after kissing spine surgery. So like an example would be like getting the treat out of my pocket and asking him to come down between his legs to get that treat in order to lift the low back. Additionally, I may need to have the horse come around to the side like this because I'm trying to work something intentional in the neck. And those are just cases where if I didn't have a treat, the horse has no motivation to go into that position. And especially if that's a position that might be weak or uncomfortable to them, they're not going to want to go there. So treats are very necessary for what I do.
Now, there are some challenges that can come up with giving your horse treats. So if you use them excessively, you can create a horse who's a pickpocket and a cookie monster and is just mobbing you for treats all the time. In the next clip, we're going to show you a horse that we've kind of not been training him and working with him on the ground. We've only been giving him treats, kind of feeding time out in the pasture and that sort of thing. And this is kind of some issues it can create. So I want to bring in a horse named Pockets.
I have not behaved one single day of my life.
And I'm just going to kind of show you. So this horse is very, very left-brained. And he's mostly been getting raised out in a pasture, getting bigger. He's just a 2-year-old. I'm just going to move him around here a little bit. But what happens is if every time you see him, for every little thing, you go ahead and give him a cookie, what can happen is they start mugging you. He's trying to bite my hand. And if I let him, he'd get a hold of my hand looking for a cookie. So you can see how this could be really mouthy. And if all I do is just keep moving away from him, it's just gonna escalate to where he's gonna eat my lunch. And even though he's cute and he's little, it's you can see where it could be a bad habit and you start getting bit if you're constantly cooking him and not actually driving him away. Okay, so he's kind of an example of a horse that can get a little too pushy. He's in my space, he's crowding me, and if I let him, he'd bite me right now. So I gotta be careful. Again, not trying to bite me to be mean, but he's just mugging me for cookies. This can be one of the issues that you have with a horse with too much draw. If the horse is very left-brained and you give him too many cookies while you're handling them. All right, so I'm gonna start teaching him to drive away and putting some drive in to kind of compensate now. So what I did to trigger this is, again, he's been out in a pasture. All I did was give him cookies a few days. That's all I did with him is go out and give him cookies, and it turned into this within 3 days of probably a cookie and a half to 2 cookies. And when I say cookie, I'm just talking about these little ones here. So yeah, be careful about over-treating your horse for every little thing, especially if you're not balancing them out with some drive. Drive is backing up, yielding the shoulder. These are the things that you can do to offset that pushiness and that mouthiness. So as you can see from Pockets, you can create some bad habits using treats only. So what you have to understand about horses is they very much care who's the leader in the pecking order. So if you're just teaching your horse tricks, there's maybe 1 out of 10 horses that you will gain a lot from just using treats. They'll be motivated by it. They'll be interested in it. They may get some bad habits of pickpocketing you, But other than that, it generally will work to teach them a lot of things. But the side that you're missing, if you're only using treats to train your horse, is the psychology and building emotional fitness in the horse. Horses have to be challenged with difficult things that are achievable in order to gain some emotional fitness from your horse. So this means getting your horse used to pressure, not treats. Okay, so things like steady pressure, driving pressure. A horse has to learn to get comfortable with these yields, because if you don't, you're only going to have a horse who's kind of half-baked and is still going to be emotional and get scared at different times. So this is one scenario that I do like to use treats in, and we're going to teach our horse to come trotting to us today. Eventually they can actually get where they run to you off of just a simple cue. And so to help reinforce that in a positive way, we're going to be using these treats, Sneaky Snacks. So they're not sponsoring this video, but this is a treat that I really like. It's a family-owned business, and these treats the horses love them, but they're also very healthy for the horse. So they're a really great treat to use. So you guys can check them out. We'll leave a link in the description, but this is one of my favorites. So my cue today for this horse is going to be, and when I go to catch them, you know, in their pen, I can whistle and give them a cookie and kind of treat them that way. The reason the treat is kind of critical here is because I don't want to use pressure to cause my horse to come to me. I want them to come to me because they want to come to me for the cookie. Now, I could have them come to me for like rest or scratches or other things that motivate them, like for instance, but it doesn't work as well. So I'll show you like one example here. So if I was being hard-nosed about not using treats, I could put my horse on a circle, and let's make believe she just circled like 10 laps, and now she wants to come in off the circle and be done, get relief from trotting or cantering. I could go like this, tip her towards me, and draw her in. So when she was facing me, I gave her the cue, okay? So something that a lot of people don't understand about training animals, and dogs would be included in this, a lot of times when a person is teaching their dog, say like sit, they'll say, like our dog, his name is Gus. They'll say, Gus, sit. And he doesn't sit. Gus, sit. And he doesn't sit. So then we kind of physically kind of make him sit and then give him a treat. He did not learn Gus sit means sit. He learned that when he sits, he gets a treat, because the cue was given before he was sitting. So whatever cue you use while the action is happening, that's what they're going to associate it with. So I'm going to wait till she's already coming to me and then give her the cue. To make it stronger, I'm going to add the treat because I'm trying to avoid the pressure aspect of it, okay? So let me show you a better strategy for this. So I'm going to start off by putting her on the rail. I like the rail as just kind of a boundary for this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to back away from her a little bit, okay? And I'm going to go. So she was coming to me. She was like, what are we doing over here? And now she gets a treat, okay? So now she's going, well, I liked it when I got to you because I got a treat. Now, I did ask her to follow a feel off the halter, but that's not very much pressure, okay? Not enough to really get them to run to you. But now, if I just keep doing this, what's going to happen, well, you'll kind of see here, is she's going to start coming to me. She's going to start coming to me before I ask her to. So this is where you need to use the buddy system. So I'm going to bring in a helper. This is my previously assistant trainer, Kara, who's up visiting this week, and because she's taking a horse home. And what she's going to do is she's just going to hold her for me. So we'll go back the other way here. So Kara, you're just going to hold her right here and just kind of keep her with you, and just don't try to steal any of her attention onto you. Just kind of ignore her. And then when I am ready, you're going to lead her towards me, and then I'm going to give her the cue. Okay? Now that I got a longer rope here too, this also, you want to start adding some distance to this. So start leading her towards me. Now back away. Good. Now you can see the horse's ears come forward a little bit more there, like she kind of knew where she was going that time. So same thing, Kara's going to just kind of hold the halter and just be kind of back by her shoulder a little bit. You're kind of holding her back. You're the brakes. And this is so that the reason Kara's clutch here is so that I don't have to use any pressure from me to drive. This is 100% draw, okay? The other aspect of this that I like is I'm going to start to try, as the horse knows the pattern, to not back up. Because some horses, not this particular horse, but some horses will get dominant as they come to you. If you're backing away and they're coming in, they'll start pinning their ears and getting like they're driving you. So for those kind of horses, I like this strategy better, okay? So I got my treat at the ready, start her towards me. Okay, so again, I am backing up now to create draw, but my goal is to not have to back up. So as soon as I don't need to back up, I will quit backing up. There we go. Good, so I didn't have to put any feel on that halter. She came right over, so we're gonna go ahead and try it at liberty this time. I'll do a closer run this time. Starter. Yeah, there we go. See her starting to come to me. Wait, oh, let her go. Awesome. So you guys can see that if you kept doing this a couple of days in a row, next thing you know, your horse is really running over to you, and it's a fun thing to do. Now, you got to balance this with not over treating them. You know, if you did this for 3 weeks in a row, like you're gonna have a horse that gets pretty mouthy. So this is, you know, kind of just this training part. Now what we'll do is we'll play with her on the ground. You can see she's not trying to rob me from treats because I don't use them excessively for everything. So that's kind of the idea behind it. But yeah, hope that's a fun game for you guys to play to help teach your horse to come to you in the pasture when you call them. It's really fun, and I think you'll get a kick out of it. All right, so another scenario that I use cookies in is teaching a horse to lay down. So Sage doesn't really love to lay down. She doesn't care about that much. She gets to be on a pasture and roll and stuff out there. So one of the ways that I can use to motivate her to want to lay down is giving her a cookie once she's down. So we're gonna go ahead and give that a try here. So I'm gonna take her to a nice kind of deep sandy spot that hopefully she would wanna lay down in anyways. About here is good. And then for me, the way I ask her to lay down is well, she's already thinking about it. That's good. So I'll pick up a front foot. It's kind of my cue. There we go. All the way. There you go. Now she gets the cookies. And then what I like to do is I'll sit here with her and give her a few cookies just so she kind of gets to, because I don't, if I do this for a demonstration's sake, I don't like them to always roll right away, but today she's inclined to get a roll. So we already rode her and now she can have a nice roll. Enjoy that sand. Can you go all the way over? But because laying down is not her most favorite thing to do, I'll give her plenty of cookies while she's down here. So anytime she kind of checks in with me instead of popping right up again, I'll just give her cookies. And this way, if I ever need to do a photo op or something like that with her laying down, she's kind of enjoying it and she sees it as a real positive thing. So there's a lot to teaching a horse to lay down, but this is one area that I pull the cookies out when I'm going to go ahead and do it. So you guys remember Skittles from a previous video. She was pretty feral when we first got her. And so I don't always use treats when I catch them, but if I have a horse that's kind of standoffish and when I'm training them, it is a little bit stressful because they haven't had a lot done. And, you know, of course I don't want it to be stressful, but it just is at first when they don't know anything. And so one of the things that we used to get her meeting us at the gate was just offering her a little cookie when we first came in. And well, she's about ready to not need the cookie anymore because you can see they're pretty comfortable coming up here now. So you can kind of just give her a treat, and then either as you're haltering her, you know, she can be eating the treat, or you could even put the halter on and then give them the treat. And it just, as you can see, makes these horses really tame, really easy to get haltered up, and you don't have to walk through a muddy pen to get that done. Now, as friendly as you can see these guys are, we're ready to stop giving it to them at this point. But to get them to this point, we wanted to go ahead and use treats just to get them where they were just really easy to catch. I didn't want to round pen them and chase them around and do anything like that. So this can be a good strategy if you have a horse that's a little standoffish. Now, if your horse is already, you know, really friendly like this, probably not the best idea. In other words, use treats responsibly, treat responsibly. So as you can see with so many other things, it's about balance. There's times that you can use treats successfully, and there's times that you should not use treats. So I don't like to make hard rules on horse training. I'd say there's no rules to horse training. So there are time and a place to use treats within balance and reason to the other techniques and exercises you're doing with your horse. But I try not to get hard and fast about any set rules. Again, there's balance to all things with horse training.